Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to Writing for Screens, the Screenwriting Step-by-Step Project, episode number 179. My name is Glenn Gers, and I come to you every Monday through Friday, if I can make it at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, to let you look over my shoulder, share my screen as I write a script. This is my attempt to teach a part of screenwriting that I think is underappreciated, which is just the day-to-day, line-by-line writing process. I don't necessarily can tell you what the best script in the world is, but I can tell you how to get a script written, how to get your script written, because that's really the first step to writing a great script, to writing a selling script, is to actually write the script. And I don't feel like enough people talk about how you do that, how you put together your outline and then work up your rough draft from that and then rewrite the rough draft. That's where we are in our process now. I just want to try and demystify that so that when you are facing the blank page for yourself, you will suddenly say, you know, he tried this thing and it helped him. It's a way to organize this. It's a way to get through the work a bit at a time. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, don't do it. Everybody has their own way of working. So all I would say is check some of these out. Don't watch them all. You don't have to watch 179 hours of this. It's just a way to let you see the process in a nitty-gritty nuts and bolts format. If you are interested in learning to write, I strongly suggest this is my channel. This is the first 3 sections of my channel, and I urge you to watch those videos. These are the ones where I have distilled my thoughts on a certain subject, theme, genre, outline, plot, those things into little 10-minute videos that I think are really, really full of helpful tips, helpful things to do, because I really feel like the most important thing is not some grand theory on what every story is like, but simply these are some tools, these are some skills, these are some craft tricks that you can use your way. That is what we are doing here. Hi, Jean. Hi, Javier. Yes, Manic Monday. Hello, Ches. Good to see you. Mr. Fixcon. That's a new one. Hi. Or fiction. Fiction. Gotcha. Hi, Natasha. And hello, this is Kitschy. Hi, everyone. It is good to see you all. It is good to be back here. We are working on... it's 3 to... Oh, wow. Why are you up so late? Don't stay up too late. Make sure you get your rest. One of the key things about being a successful writer is taking care of yourself. Being sure that you do not get into debt, that you do not get into sleep debt, that you get enough to eat and sleep and you have your rent paid. Those are the most important things you need to do so that you can survive the long and irrational process of trying to be a screenwriter. Oh, that is so that is so nice. I am really glad that it is helpful that I show up here. That is great. You are one of my daily highlights too, Tavana, and all of you guys here. Someone at uni yesterday who also likes screenwriting, and he asked if hey, the name is getting out there. I am really happy. Through the corner, good to see you. Yay, that is wonderful. That is great to hear, actually. Yes, thank you, Javier. I appreciate that. Okay, now it's enough of the Admiration Society. As much as I like admiration, what I really like is writing. All right. You were a TV pilot for LA Productions? That's cool. That is cool. Do you mean that you wrote one? You mean you are writing one now? Let me know. Okay, so about an hour ago when I was, as you know, oh yes, okay. Yeah, this is true. Los Angeles productions, particularly comedies, particularly sitcoms, but even dramas sometimes, they sometimes work ridiculous hours. I mean, Yeah, ridiculous, ridiculous. Oh, cool, writing a TV pilot. Yeah. TV writers, when they're in production, very often will write till 3, 4 in the morning. This is bad, in my opinion. Yeah, I understand some people sort of get charged up to do that, and it's really exciting. But my feeling is surely there is a way to not stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning to write your script. Certainly, if you're not in production, if they're not waiting for the pages, get some sleep and then do your work. My opinion, different people work differently. If you're the sort of person who works, if you can sustain it, if you can have your life and be healthy and do it, sure, work all night. Cool, groovy, whatever works, as long as you are able to sustain doing it over a long time, because to be a scriptwriter means you are doing it. It's a job. It's a long-term job. Hello, Butte. If you are lucky, it's a long-term job. Okay, so a little while ago, I was just looking at this and I immediately saw this set of lines really, really don't need. In fact, I even have Norman, she turns to Norman, who shrugs. Madeline ports in the door. Norman shrugs. Yep. Well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. This is just a bit of unnecessary cuteness. There we go. Look at that. So that's good. A nice cut. All right. Now, here's the trick. What we are doing here is she is hurrying up, and then we are cutting to soon after. So I am going to okay. What I'm just doing now is cleaning up, making it clear that one of the things that you want to do when you are cutting between scenes, one of the things that's really an advantage of going from scene to scene is you can skip stuff. For instance, in this case, Xena is hurrying out, and then we want to show that she stopped, she got pissed, and then she called a Zoom meeting, and everyone got on the meeting, and so I don't want to watch all that. You don't want to watch someone dial the phone. You don't want to watch them taking the taxi to the airport. You just want to show them getting on the plane. Yes, what's the... Hello, Yellow Pedro. So anyway, so what I'm doing here is... and probably we want to leave... now this is interesting. Okay. One of my thoughts here is, how does Norman actually feel about this? Because people read so fast, I like to reinforce some ideas by stating them repeatedly. Tonal stuff in reference to repeating yourself. This is actually an interesting concept, Division 5, O5, because... in theory, that is correct, but especially if it's mostly tonal stuff, you have to be careful. If you, because they are reading so fast, and if you are deliberately slowing them down, it had better be for something that you really want to stick in their mind, because otherwise you're just making it hard for them to read, which is not actually helping. If you are forcing them, if you are force-feeding them things, and those things are not the most important things, you are actually diluting the power of what they are reading for. And so therefore, I understand this concept, but if you do it too indiscriminately, you actually find yourself making your work hard to read. I know because I have done it. I have done this myself. I have said, oh, I need to create a texture of text, a texture of words that will be so absorbing, which in fiction one can do. In screenwriting is this weird, screwed up kind of lyric poetry in which you just don't, you hit something once and it's got to hit big, because if you repeat it, you actually just dull the audience out, and they lose their power. They lose their grip on the strength of the scene. When you change a scene and it's in the outline document, what do you do with the stuff you're replacing? That's an interesting question. Because there's two layers to it. Like if you're in the outline, here, like this. This is the outline, right? Suppose you wanted to go into the outline and delete some stuff. Like this. It's in the thing, right? So now I just deleted that. Before you do that, before you do it, go here and you make a copy. Do this. Make a duplicate and put the date on it. Outline 5/23/22. And I have this thing called the archive. And I drag the copy into it. And now if I need to find it, let's put it in the folder where it belongs. There. Now I keep copies. Like when I'm going to make some major surgery on things, or when I'm just doing a new draft, I will make a copy of everything, keep it in the archive with the dates, so I know this is this one, then the next one is the next one. And so if I am looking for something, I can go back and try and find it. I do that with both the outline and the overview and the text. I will make a copy of, like when I get done with this pass going through the script from beginning to end, I'm going to make a copy of it. I'm going to date it, the date that I finish it, and I'm going to put it in the archive. Because that way, what if, sometimes years later, when I wrote Fracture, I had done two different versions. I was working on two different possible directions. I thought there's two different versions of the main character, because the main character that I had inherited, it was a rewrite job. It wasn't my original script. And so I thought, this guy, and I've talked about this before, the main character was kind of he had grown up in a lawyer family, and that was, so I was trying to figure out why is he doing this job the way he's doing it. And I thought, well, what if he's new to it? What if he's breaking into the law? It would be a stronger motive for him in some ways. So I started to develop that version of the character. Eventually I decided I didn't want to change it so much because they had hired me to do the one that they did. So I set that aside. I did not delete it. I did not throw it out. I just took that outline and the notes I made and parts of the script, and I saved them. A year or two later, probably a year later, I had quit the job for various reasons. They came back to me and they said, we want you to do a rewrite of it. And I had been away from the project for a year. When I read the script, I realized that my other idea for the character was better. I went to that and I said, I want to bring that back to life. If I had deleted that and thrown it away, I would be out of luck. I would have lost all that work, and you never know when you might need it. So the answer is keep an archive. In the archive, I have outlines and overviews, text draft, and the original draft there. So there we go. Something to think about. Yes, I did get the Babylon script. Thank you very much, Pedro. Speaking of pilots, I think it's kind of weird that the pilot often gets into the actual series. Look at Seinfeld. It is very... yeah, it is kind of... The pilot, notoriously, pilot scripts do not really fit the flow of the rest of the series. Unless you are writing like if you are writing a limited series or something where the pilot isn't really the pilot, it's just the first episode. If you are selling a series and you are selling the entire series, very often you can just write the pilot. There are certain companies that will say, hey, we're going to buy this idea and write the whole thing, write the first 10 episodes. In that case, you don't have this problem. But ordinarily, the problem with pilots is their job is to establish the world, the characters, the idea. That establishing is anti-story. That establishing stuff is very much out of the flow of the story. And so notoriously, a lot of pilots are not very good episodes of the show. So that's just the way, the reality of pilots. I agree. Many people agree. Notoriously, if you're kind of iffy on a series and you watch the pilot and you're iffy on it, you probably watch the second episode or something. Sometimes it takes a while to get good. Fair point. Yes, thank you. You're talking about the texturing by repetition, which is a beautiful technique, by the way, and not a bad thing. You just have to go real careful with it, but you should do it. Hi, Luay Sassi. I'm sorry, I know this might be off plot, but any tips for writing a 3-minute short? I am terrible about shorts. My tip would be watch a bunch of shorts, especially ones that are around the 3 to 5 minute. See how they work. Break down what you like about them. Figure out how many scenes are in them. How do they set up and pay off whatever structure they're going to have? I would just urge you to do what I often urge people to do, which is take art apart, which is, this is a video I did, so that's why I'm showing you that. The answer is, if you're interested in shorts, watch a lot of shorts and find the ones that you really like or find interesting or admirable and analyze them, break them down, figure out how do they do what you like. Or break down one that you hate and like, well, what do I not want to do? That's also a very, very valuable thing. So anyway, the answer is, I don't know that much about shorts. I've never really written. I've written only 1 or 2. I don't understand. I don't think short. I just don't think short stuff. Okay. I'm learning screenwriting on my own time. That is okay. I did it too. Most people do. Frankly, this whole idea that there was a screenwriting school or that there was a set of lessons that you had to take is relatively new to the concept of screenwriting. Screenwriting used to be just a job. Yay, thank you. All I can say is learning screenwriting by yourself is completely legitimate. Just keep working at it. The way to learn is to study as many things as you can. Like if you can read books, but now there's too many books, way too many books, way too many videos. Just don't watch 178 hours of me. Spend 125 of those hours writing your own script. Go write something. I'm very serious about that. You can only learn by doing it yourself. So, but thank you, Jennifer. I really appreciate that. Thank you for coming on and saying nice things. Even better. The Gertrude Stein Hemingway style repetition for prose doesn't seem to work in screenplays. No, although the Hemingway style of keeping it short and punchy is rather useful. However, yeah, although, I don't want to say doesn't seem to. Like, it can work. You just have to say that's going to be my style. The thing about Stein and Hemingway that's important to remember is they may be repetitive. They're also very stripped down. Now, there are some famous writers who are very wordy and repetitive, and those thematic uses of images and words and phrases that keep coming back and twisting around, that's a beautiful thing. It's just really hard for people in the screen reading business to read that because you have so little space. That's like saying I want to do a really repetitive haiku. It's just there's no room. So anyway. When you say limited series, streaming series, yeah. Well, basically, it just this is a business category. There's no artistic concept behind limiting. There is, you can limit things, but what I'm talking about is a pilot is a script that you write in order to sell a project, a series. Now, you're not going to write a whole series in order to sell it. You're going to write just the pilot and a plan for the series. So what does happen, though, for people who are experienced in the business and well regarded, or if they have some idea that's so juicy that a company says, you know what, we don't just buy pilots. We're going to buy we're going to say, we are going to make your series. That does happen, although often it happens from the pilot. I guess what I'm saying is there is when I talk about limited series here, your actual question is, a limited series is what they used to call a mini series, which is, in other words, it's a series with a predetermined ending. Ideally, one season's worth. If it's going to be more than one season, it's not a limited series. A limited series, the limit of a limited series is that it has 3 to 10 to 12, whatever it is, episodes. And at the end of that, they're not making any more. The story is over. They're done. They do sometimes break that rule, like with Big Little Lies, where it's like, oh, everyone liked it so much. Okay, season 2. However, the point of it is it's supposed to have a story with a beginning, middle, and end. And when it's done, it's done. No more. Basta. Okay. You are entirely welcome. I hope that the great thing, by the way, Louie, about shorts, they're short. A 3-minute short should have a script that's only 3 to 5 pages long. Even if you describe everything in a lot of detail, 3 to 5, 6 pages, that's it. That's all you got. So therefore, do a lot of them. Do it many times. It's all cool. The great thing about shorts is you can get it done and decide if it's good, and if it's not good, do it again. No worry. You could do it again in a day. Hi, Rachel. I don't know how long it takes you to do these things, but yeah, there's 2 movies based on the Killers. Yes, absolutely. There was an early and then a color remake. No, connection timeout. Sorry. Oh, are you back? I guess you're back. You wrote that. Okay. Well, so let's get back to this, because here's the thing. So what I am picturing here, there's 2 versions of the Killers. Okay, Criterion, I believe, put out a DVD with both. Wow. Congratulations. You deserve it. You've been working hard. The one thing they'll be able to say is, this person that we represent, they work hard. That is great. Congratulations. I hope it goes well. All right. So back to the script here. This is what I'm thinking. I have just done the end of this whole sequence of Norman and Madeline and Zena coming together ends with Madeline taking a stand, saying, I am not going to be part of Zena's plan to take over the podcast and lure the killer. Now, Zena rushes out. And what I want to do is make sure that we spend a little time with Madeline and Norman after Zena. Okay, I just want to give a little bit of time here to the idea that that when Zena leaves the scene, we're not going with her. We are staying on the people who just threw out, who are feeling I want to talk about their feel. Like, how does Madeline feel about doing this? And the other question I had was, how does Norman feel about Madeline doing this? Because Norman is, by nature, he's a journalist. He would kind of want the story. He would want to know if they could find the bad guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm describing their I'm over describing their thoughts. And then it's punctuated by them hearing the door slam. It's like, oh, she's mad. She's hurt. Okay, so yeah, it's good. Burt Lancaster. That's gritty. Burt Lancaster did a lot of good work. I sent my work to the agent, and she said she will read and cover my pilot. Cover means someone will write a short summary judgment of it, I believe. That she will read it, and she or someone in her office will write a little, like, this is a quick summary of it, and this is the pros and cons of it. Coverage. Coverage means book report, really. Like the word cover or coverage in Hollywood is essentially little book reports. What that came from is executives are supposed to read 50 scripts a day. They obviously can't. They have people in their office read them and write coverage, cover the script. They give a little summary so that the executive can just read a quick 2-page synopsis with like pros and cons. That's called coverage. And indeed, yay, Najo. Okay. Yeah, now she has to work. Yeah, exactly. Script coverage. Yay! Yes, as much as I can be, I want to be you guys' mentor. That is great. Congratulations. Would that be it, or would they send the work? Oh, well, the answer is you have to. Yeah, they are not going to send anything out until they've met you. I can tell you that for sure. Here's the thing: they are reading your material or having someone read it, but probably if they're meeting with you, they want to read it themselves, at least some of it. And then they will meet with you and they will tell you, yes, I want to work with you. This is my plan for who we're going to send it to, because what they need to know is, are you on board with how they see representing you? They want to know, like if they say, we think you would be really good to be a staff writer on a soap opera, and you have to go, ooh, I don't know. And they're like, this is where we think your best career path is. Or we think you should go to film festivals and write, indie films. Whatever it is that they think is going to be the good business plan for your career, they want to make sure you are willing to do that, because they are not just signing on to rep what you've already written. Mostly they're signing on to rep what you are going to write. And they want to have a little say in that. They want to say, could you please write more horror scripts, or could you please write less horror scripts, whatever it is. Okay, what is the point of this story? That is a devastating question. In philosophical terms, or are you saying what's? Tell me what you mean, because the point of this story essentially is I needed to find a story to tell that I could write while people were watching. So the point of this story is actually to teach screenwriting. However, the deeper point, the theme, is that I think there's several themes, but one of the main ones is be careful about digging into dark things. You may actually uncover them and they may come after you. That's one. And the other is people who seem like you wouldn't care about them. You may find yourself even falling in love with them and having finding your true love and purpose. So yeah, dramatically, the purpose, the point of this story is it is the first episode of a theoretical series introducing the characters and the main plot lines, so that in theory, the people who are watching it are going to go, ooh, I want to know what happens. And they have a good sense of who the main characters are and what the main problem they are facing. Essentially, I am trying to answer a bunch of the questions, 6 essential questions that I sorry, I got distracted. Who's it about? What do they want? Why can't they get it? What do they do about that? That is where we are. The last 2 questions are, why does that work? And what is the ending? The ending, eventually, they're going to have to uncover the real killer and defend themselves against him. Deliverance, not so much, I would say. Deliverance is more of a story of a 4 people who go on a journey together, which gets them in far, far deeper into danger than they expect, and they have to struggle to survive. This is actually about a bunch of very different people who are brought together to solve a crime. That's a pretty different image. Both of them are people getting in too deep, but honestly, almost every story in the world is about people getting into something bigger than they thought or harder than they thought, because if it wasn't harder than they thought, it would be over in a second. You know, be like, oh, I'm going to the bank, I'll come back with some cash, and they do. What's always interesting is you go to the bank, want to come back with some cash, and you get caught up in a hostage drama. Then you got a story. In fact, you've got Dog Day Afternoon. All right. Yes, don't be anxious. Don't be anxious at all. Be confident. You are doing good. And the main thing is communicate. Really listen and really talk. Honestly, that is great. Soap opera would be. I wish they'd. Soap operas. There's going to be a new form of them. Okay. How to write a script without being a director. This is the tragic situation of all screenwriters. All screenwriters picture it in their mind, but they don't get to direct it unless you're a writer-director. A very small slice of actual working screenwriters. So the answer is, I believe, first of all, you try to think about what is essential. The job of screenwriting is not to make the movie. It's to give the people who are going to make the movie a thing to work from. So what you are basically worried about is characters, story. Those are the things, and ideas, that you are not able to create or convey performances or production design or cinematic mechanisms like framing or editing. Those are simply not within the script. You can imply them. Like, for instance, here I added a sound effect, but I did it in terms of they listen to. In other words, characters in the moment receiving a message by what they hear. So while front door slam is actually the sound effect, the point of this front door slam is that it is punctuation on their feelings of having taken a stand, but there is an emotional consequence, which is that they have hurt someone who they kind of liked a little. So in this case, I'm not saying what kind of shot it is. I'm not saying how you'll cut it. I'm not saying how they'll act. I'm saying the story point. And that is what a screenwriter really does. A screenwriter really is creating the reality of the thing that will be reproduced and performed and captured by other people. You are creating the moments, and then other people will actually make the movie out of those moments. That's the game. Hold on. Writing without being director. It's a good question. It's the question. It's really the big question. This is a great question, Najo. Najo, of course, is going to have the answer of, I wrote 50,000 things and they won 46 different contests and there were live readings and stuff. She puts out a huge amount of work. She continues to do it and she continues to show it to people. This is crucial. This is what Najo does that is so impressive. She works from inside herself and she gets it done and she gets it out there. And that is dynamite. Congratulations, Natasha. Okay. Yeah, I'm just in my mind about this how do you write screenplays thing, because that's really how do you write it without directing it is kind of the point. So yeah, everything I'm trying to teach here and everything, especially in my lessons, is about focusing on those things that a writer controls. You control the characters and the story and the dialogue, the way they talk, what they do. And within that, how they feel, what they want, what they're facing. Those are the things that a screenwriter does. Screenwriter really doesn't control the lighting or the colors or the cutting or the music. That's just not anything you can do anything about. Yes, I would say that a screenwriter pushes the story with a minimal amount of staging is very accurate. Remember, what you wanted, like what I believe a good screenwriter does, and what I certainly work to do, is a screenwriter is creating the story, the people and the story. And what you want to do is you want to focus on those things which are making up the people in the story and making it feel real in the script. In other words, you have to make up what they want and what they do, and then how they do it and how we see it. The next stage of production will figure that out. What you're trying to figure out is the reality of the people. That's the most important thing. The reality, I'm even going to come out of my little corner. The screenwriter is trying to make it feel like the reader is reading a thing that's actually happening in front of their eyes. That you're trying to make a story that's so absorbing and the action is so consuming. The characters are so involving that you care, that you, in your mind, you picture your version of that movie. Everyone who reads a script sees it very differently. I guarantee you. It is you would, if you could brain print what every reader of a script gets, you would not recognize any two versions. That's what happens. And it's really rough when a screenwriter is working with the people who are making it, because they're all picturing different things and they have to get along together and somebody has to choose one. That's usually the director. So that's the game, is that a screenwriter has to say, okay, maybe she breaks down in tears or maybe she throws a plate, but the important thing is she is letting them know she is upset. That's the key, the character action. This is why I emphasize dramatic action. That is really the key. The key is somebody in the reality of the story wants something and is doing something in the moment. That's what you're screenwriting. Okay. Yes, a script simply cannot be descriptively detailed. If you, there are now and then there are screenwriters who have written, like, there's a purple brocade blanket over the sofa and he, scratches it with his fingers nervously, and fine, you can write that, and they may even try and do it. But usually that stuff gets ignored. This is Natasha. She referred me to the literary agency. Who is the owner? Oh, she. I think I missed a step here. She referred me to the literary agency, to the agent. Cool. All right. When you were a struggling screenwriter, did you ever have housing problems, and how did you solve them? That's an interesting and personal question, but I actually will answer it. Yes. Remember, I was a struggling screenwriter for almost 15 years. And so, yes, I there were times when I actually sort of sublet my apartment and lived with my girlfriend at the time, or in one case, I sublet my apartment to a friend on the condition that I could come back during the working day and write at his at the apartment with him there. It did not go well, actually. But it was an interesting experiment. Yeah. The answer is sometimes you have to take a job you kind of wish you didn't have to take in order to pay your rent. Sometimes you have to beg your relatives for some money to cover the rent. Sometimes you have to move to a place that has cheaper rent. Rent is not an easy thing for anybody. The main thing is do your thing. There's no artistic solution to rent. Remember, art problems have art solutions, but real life problems you cannot solve artistically. You must solve them with real life answers like roommate or getting money from your uncle or moving to a cheaper place. Those are among my choices. I did, by the way, I happened to have I was living in New York at the time. It was 40 years ago. I had a pretty good rent. It wasn't great, but it was pretty good. I could pay that rent most of the time with the salary that an office temp made. So yeah. Okay, Kitchi and Najo are talking about how the agent thing happened. I did check on this agency myself, along with a couple of producers and another agent I know. See, this is key. She knows producer, she knows agent. She knows we've checked Variety for the agency. Not an A-list agency, but it is legit. Honestly, I gotta say, this is about agencies, about representation in general. Something to consider. First of all, managers, good and less. There seem to be more of them, and there are less crazily money hungry than agents. There are only in Hollywood, there are only a couple of big agencies. If you get signed to those big agencies, that seems lovely because you are, in theory, able to be put up for internally circulated jobs or packages. And that is, in theory, true. But remember, these are big agencies and you are a small fish. And therefore, when a job comes up, they're going to go with their bigger clients because they get bigger paychecks and they take a bigger 10% of that. So therefore, you are way down on the list and they don't have as much time for you. But if you go to a small agency or even an independent agent, my agent was in a small agency and then an independent agent for 20 years. And the result was I got a lot of attention. I got a lot of personal support and concern and respect. In a big agency, these agents are under pressure to pull in big paying jobs. And if they don't, that client is kind of looked at as, oh, maybe we should just take them, get rid of them. That's the problem with the big agencies is they are big and they are concerned only with big things. And you are not big. If you were big, they would come to you. So therefore, do not dismiss the value of small agencies, managers, and even independent agents. They should be actual legitimate agents, but if they're a little 2-person, 3-person company, you could probably get more energy out of them than you will unless you get very lucky with your agent at a big agency. The other thing is, in order to get signed by an agent, you need to get the permission of the agency. If this is CAA, they are going to have these giant meetings where like the most of the agents don't even get to go to those meetings. And they have to submit, we want to sign such and such a person. And they're like, what do I care? I'm flying my private jet. I'm going to meet with superstar X. So therefore, I don't want that person cluttering up my office. If it's a small agency, it's like 2 or 3 people. They're like, read the script. Okay, you like it? Good. We're going to do that. So small agencies, not a bad deal. Okay. I am glad, Errol. Thank you. I am very glad. I personally hate talking about the business. But I do recognize that it's valuable to hear about it. And definitely congratulations to Najo. And Kirby, I've always, I want to know what you've always. But yeah, no, back to Kirby's question about paying your rent. The answer is prioritize taking care of yourself. Let's actually go prioritize. In order to be successful, you need to be very hardworking, very gifted, or at least very engaged with the art, and lucky. In order to, you can put effort into the first two. You can work on your vision and your talent and your hardworkingness, and you can put time and effort into that every day. You cannot do anything to make yourself lucky except A, make yourself available to luck by writing a lot of stuff and putting it out there, like Natasha. And you have to make an effort to be able to survive until you are lucky, which could be, in my case, I was starting to try and be a writer when I was in high school. I did not make it until 18 years later, okay? I had to survive 18 years without getting money for my writing. I got little bits here and there sometimes, but most of the time you have to make yourself a sustainable, happy life, a life that you don't mind living. You can't spend 18 years hating your life in the hope that somebody's going to give you money for your writing. You're not going to write well, okay? So make yourself a sustainable, happy, supportive life at whatever scale. That may mean moving to a small place where you're far away from high rents and crazy people and writing from there for 10 years. Whatever it takes, that's what you have to be able to do to get the luck component to kick in. All right. It's about a boy who finds an answer to the question, what is success? That's cool. I am liking that. Yeah, living in LA is rough. I do not necessarily suggest that don't come to LA to be a writer until you have written a lot, until you know a lot about what you can do and what you want to do. Yes, it helps to be in LA. Per day to cost of living, I do not know. That is something that I would not venture to say. All I can say is compare rents, compare, I don't know, auto insurance, compare whatever it is. You can find that out on this internet upon which we live. Housing question, yes. Good for you, Najo. See, this is the other thing. Natasha is doing all this not in LA. Man, yes, good for you. The other thing about working in someplace like Memphis is if you decide to do DIY, if you decide to try and find people to put together an indie project, the people around, no, they may not be always as skilled or as experienced as the people in LA or New York. However, they're much more interested in doing it for no money. And you can get, one of the biggest, hardest things is favors. You can get favors. There ain't no favors in Los Angeles, okay? Nobody will let you use their restaurant for a morning before they open to shoot a scene. In Memphis, they might. Anyway, I would like to come there for India. Do not come here from India until, like Natasha, you have made inroads at long distance and you have a large body of work that has been well regarded by people in the industry. In other words, if you've entered contests and had some good response, if you have contacts, if you have met people who through on the internet who are working and have advised you, that's great. Do not come to Los Angeles to start figuring out your artistic career. Be really good at your art. Be really hard working and used to constantly churning out work. When you get here, if you get lucky and you get an agent, they're going to see, we need your new script. We need your new script next month. So therefore, and if you get a job, they're going to say, we need your new script next week. So do not come to Los Angeles until you are really, really comfortable writing lots of work on demand, often in ways you don't like. Yes, new large agents See, that's great. Actually, that's not even irony. That's just decency. That is good. If a big agent said, "Hey, I can't help you, but check out this little one," damn, that is a compliment to you, Natasha, and decency of that other agent. That's cool. Yes, I had to leave LA because the rent and commute is ridiculous. I work from home, more time to write and follow. Yes, be flexible about this stuff, especially now. When I was starting out, you had to physically type and copy your scripts, and then you had to physically give them to people. And there were no contests, and there were almost no film schools. And yeah, it was definitely. Now you can attend film conferences from India, from Memphis, from everywhere. This is great. You can meet people, you can engage, you can learn, and you can put your work out there without leaving your sustainable life. Cool. Yeah, I've always had housing problems. Well, yeah, LA equals housing problems. LA, New York, San Francisco, equal sign housing problems. Yes. Excellent. That is, it sounds good. All right. You guys are all being so nice to each other. Oh, Woody. I don't know Woody. Hi, Woody Basso. Is it better to write from characters' personalities or start from the structure? Hold on. Character or plot? This is basically, should I write from plot or from character? And the answer to that is simple. Either one. Because whichever one you do, you're going to have to do the other. If you start from structure, from plot, from story, eventually you're going to have to get to the question of who's doing this? What do they want? My favorites. Okay, my favorites. Yeah. Who is it about? What do they want? Why can't they get it? See, these are story questions, but the first two are the killers. That's character. So the answer is, if you start from a story, you say, oh, I want to do a thing about, it's a bank robbery that happens on a submarine. And then you're like, okay, and you figure out all the tricks of submarine bank robberies. That's cool. Eventually, you've got to have people involved. You've got to have the people who are doing the robbery and the people who are getting robbed and the people who are trying to stop the robbers. And each one of those people has to be a character. You need to build character arcs. I love advertising my own videos. All right. So if, for instance, you say, I want to do a story about a person who believes in the afterlife. Cool. Now what's the story? And then you have to come up with the story. And then you ask my 6 questions. Either way, it does not matter where you start, because in order to do the process, you got to do the whole thing. If you're going to be a good writer, wherever you start, start where you feel like. Start where your heart is driving you. Start where you think of stuff. And then you will inevitably, if properly doing this job, ask the other question, which is, if it's in characters mode, what's the story? And if you're in story mode, who are these people? It's easy. Do whatever you want. Just do both. All right. We got things. Yes. Yes, that's right. Wherever you can afford to live, the internet. I have to say, like, there was a long time when you had to be in a certain place at a certain time to be part of the culture. Like, you had to be at Paris in the 20s or Seattle in the 90s or whatever it was. If you were there, you were lucky. Now, the place you have to be is the internet. You have to be there because that's where the culture is actually happening. So, cool. If you want to actually get a job in American television or movies, yeah, you probably need to come to Los Angeles, maybe New York. But do not do that until you've been doing the thing so well that you have made contacts because of your work. Not just, I know somebody whose uncle lives there, but your work has found recognition of some kind, even if the recognition is just Oh, I read that. Like for me, during my 18 years of writing and not making a living, one of the things that I kept running into was somebody would say, wow, I can't make this script, but I love those characters. Nice work there. That's the sign that you should keep doing it. If you're getting any kind of good response, if somebody says, well, you really couldn't figure out your plot here at all, but that's a clever scene. Excellent. Keep working. Don't go to Los Angeles until you're getting people giving you really good responses saying, oh, I really love this. It's not commercially viable for me at this moment. That's a very narrow bottleneck. I am going to pay. The paying thing is where people are like, I can't. It's not good business model for me. I'm writing sports. I'm producing sports movies. You wrote this really great story about a dog who goes camping. Lovely, but not what I do. So therefore, I respect your writing, keep in touch, but I cannot help you by paying you. Yes. Oh, great. Thank you. Yeah, Kitschy, about Los Angeles. If you don't want to sleep in a closet, you better make $2,500 or more a month. Yes, $1,500 for a one bed. We're getting into real estate. AMA all day. It seems to be the case. I have gotten, by the way, 3 sentences written today. Yeah, Mr. Fiction. Also, Mr. Fiction, you are living in a country which has a huge industry of its own. Check that out. I don't know anything about the film and television industry in India, but I know it's big, and I know we're getting some of our money. America is getting money from the Indian companies. So therefore, there's got to be work there. And the other thing is, do your own thing. You have the capacity to write and get produced without ever involving the business. Just like you could do if you are into theater, you can set up your own little theater in a storefront and get a handful of people to come in, and that's how you get good. If you want to get good, do the work and the scale that you can do. Okay. Honestly, it's not about money. If you get to work, take it. Take it. Yeah, Javier, where are all our margaritas? We really need them. All right. Okay, just don't worry too much about money, folks. Worry about work. Like I said, if you love theater, then find a church that'll let you work on weeknights and do a play there. Find a storefront that's empty and see if you can rent it for a month and do your play. If you're making a movie, you can't find anyone, find some film students, find some film student directors and film student actors, and write something that is within your ability to produce with those people in your place. That is the greatest thing. You get regional work that way. You get personal, independent, cool work by doing that. And then, if that's good, you will get noticed. You'll go to film festivals and there are producers there and agents, and they'll be, oh, not bad. You still got 10 years to go, but at least you're moving. And if it's not good enough, that's how you find out and how you do your next one and do it again. Just do it at the scale you can afford to do it, that you can afford to lose everything. Do it for $100. You can do it. You can make a movie for nothing now. Do that. Do that 5 times and then think about money. Okay. I can't tell if I'm bad at thinking of a good idea and making a scene out of it. When I actually write, I can't imagine the rhythm and separating characters from my own voice. Advice? The answer is 2 things. 1, the way to tell if something is a good idea and you're making a scene out of it, do it. Do it and show it to people. If everybody who sees the scene says, I can't tell who's talking, they all talk alike, then you can work on that. I'm working on a video about dialogue, but I've discussed this before. I think I actually did an AMA about character voices. We'll have to check that. But the main thing is, I don't know if I'm just overthinking it. You are. I guarantee it. Everybody who asks those kind of questions, you're overthinking it. It's very simple. Do what you do and have people tell you how you're bad. Don't worry about telling yourself how you're bad. You do what you want to do that you think is good. And then you give it to someone. And if you think it's pretty good and they tell you what's bad about it, then you can fix that. But don't spend your time trying to think about what you do that's bad. That is not helpful. Think about what you do that's fun. Think about what you do that's interesting. Think about what you want to do because you like it. That is what you got to do. And then also, sometimes somebody can become famous for the fact that they have their own voice. Sometimes somebody writes something and they have a style and it's their weird style. Jim Jarmusch. I don't think anyone's going to accuse Jim Jarmusch of creating vastly differentiated characters with lots of different voices, even though he does. But still, when you see a Jim Jarmusch film, it's like, oh, yeah, that's all Jim Jarmusch. And likewise, David Mamet, Aaron Sorkin, Nora Ephron. Nora Ephron's people all talk alike. All good writers, they have a rhythm of their own. Dickens. Okay? So, therefore, hold on. How can one give an inanimate object character or just make it feel like it has character? From the plant in the Leon the Professional? Yes. That's a great question. Objects with character. The answer is involve it with the other characters. Any character exists in relation to other characters, and therefore it does not matter if it's a plant or a fire extinguisher. It's how is it used in the relationships of the characters in the story. Now, if you have a story that's only inanimate objects, you're going to have a problem. But if you have a bunch of human beings and an inanimate object, or a dog, or a mouse, or the sun coming in the windows, that can be a strong character if there's a relationship to the main character or the character who's interacting with it. That's how you do that. It's a neat trick. Also, you by imbuing an object with a meaning to the character, you are revealing that character. The truth is, the plant and the professional is really Leon. Okay, it's Leon's tender side. It is Leon's nurturing side. The plant doesn't do anything, but Leon's relationship to the plant is how this works. When I was writing Fracture, one of the things that I ran into was we decided to change the opening scene. The opening scene originally was this mechanical stress test where something was going to be hammered until it broke, basically. And the main character was watching it. The villain was watching it. And I thought, I want to show that's one aspect of this character, the pressure, the damage. But what I wanted to show was the puzzling, the intricate game playing. And so I came up with this idea that he built these intricate toys which operated mechanically if all the parts were in the right places. That object is not part of this. I mean, it's not a story action, but it's a revelation of the character. So great question, Mojo. I hope that has answered it. All right, we gotta slow down on the questions. Send them, by the way, as you know, if you have a question, you can send it to writingforscreens.com. Click on the Contact Me button. It will open up a little window where you can send me an email. That is the best way to ask me a question if I am not answering it here. When you're submitting scripts and getting feedback, did you get more negative criticism for plot or character? What criticism did you get most? The criticism I got most was my stories were a little weird. It's like, we didn't think this didn't go where we thought it was going to go, which to me was the point. That's my idea of a good story. However, the criticism was always, this is not absolutely predictable. I took that as a compliment, but it did mean I didn't get work. The other criticism I got was, man, your first acts are way too long. And it's true. My first acts used to run, like, the story didn't really get going for 50 pages. And oops, I had to learn. And so it actually took like 4 or 5 scripts of me consciously saying, I've got to get the story started sooner. I mean, there was stuff happening, but the real, action of the story where the main character is pursuing the main thing often didn't happen till way late. I actually think that can be cool sometimes, but anyway. Okay, I gotta, sometimes the director starts without screenplay. Yes, that's cool. There's, I don't know much about Bollywood, but I would say that in general, work with the reality you have. If Bollywood is where your business is, learn or find out what independent world there is in your world. Yeah, good. Keep working. Cool. All right. Something to think about in the professionals that we understand the point. By virtue of how Leon does. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Criterion has good statutory films. This is true. Okay, guys, I gotta move on. I'm gonna move away from my from the yes, good. Gene is giving you good advice about online access, submitting your work in the industry. Also, just don't worry too much. If the business is not giving you what you need, do something without the business. Why would you stop doing what you do because the business? That's like you got to do what you do. Hopefully, they will catch on. If you are capable of adapting your needs to the business, try that. Do one for you, one for them. Write a script that is like, this is what I used to do. I would write a script that was, I am going to do this. It's going to be no budget. It's going to be weird. It's going to be whatever I feel like is good. And then I'm going to do one where I'm going to be like, I know enough of the rules to try to follow these rules. Can I do it? And those that, and there's something good in both of those. There's sometimes a difference between cinema and entertainment. Often, kino, as some people say. It all takes money, though, not as much as it used to. Okay. yeah, I got lots of stories about the toy thing in Fracture. But unfortunately, we've been going for a while in the script, and how much may have been added later in Fracture. Everything was in the script. There was nothing was added. I mean, I was on the set rewriting every day. So therefore it all went into the script. Things were changing all the time, but I was not, it wasn't like, and I have had this experience. I wrote something for the USA Network, which was a rewrite of a serial killer. The FBI agent is hunting a serial killer. It turns out to be her brother. And it was called Brother's Keeper, although not when I was working on it. And anyway, that was a case where I wrote a script. I wrote a couple drafts. They went into production. They went to Canada. I was not able or willing to go to Canada at that time. So they went up and they filmed it, and they rewrote it without me there. I had no idea where that stuff was coming from. I am not too thrilled with that. But that's what happens. On the other hand, off season, they went up to Canada. They filmed without me. They changed 1 or 2 lines. They cut a couple. It happens. Anyway, I must now become an actor in Bollywood. This is going to be okay. Good luck. Good luck with that. It's not you. It's the consumer. To a certain extent, that is an artistic creed. That is a fact of artistry. You have to decide how much you want to just do what they want and how much, because at a certain point, it's like, why are you doing that? What is the point of being an artist if you're just doing what people tell you? And then at the same time, if you just want to be an artist and do whatever you want, most of the time, people do not jump on paying for that. Now and then they do. It's a balance. It's a balance. Thank you. We didn't think so when we were making it. I thought that was going to be the biggest disaster of all time. And it was my first produced movie, so I was not jumping for joy. I was just trying to survive. It's been an hour and 10, so I'm going to be heading towards the great big see you tomorrow in the sky. This has been a lot of fun. Tomorrow maybe I'll get something written. Thank you. Go write something.